like, I don't know, some like no cards, I don't know, just some study habits, you know?
Study tips?
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
I think with like those, I could just be ready for this test or something.
Yeah. I wish we had like 8 study tips.
Yeah, you know that feeling you get when you're confused on a test and don't know what to do, and you wish you had some study habits, some tips or something to help you out? With these 8 tips I'm about to tell you guys, I'll help you pass that test with an A.
The most important, I believe, is starting to study a little bit far in advance. So like waiting until the night before is not good. But starting maybe a week or 2 weeks before a big unit exam and studying a little bit each day is super effective because that way it will lock into your long-term memory.
Nice.
The other thing that I would recommend is, I think this is really important, but this is kind of vague, is to figure out the way that you learn best. Because I could tell you that going through the readings and highlighting and annotating readings works really well for me. It's not going to work well for all of you guys, though. Some people do really well with flashcards. Some people do really well talking through the material with a partner. And so my best advice would be like, figure out how you learn best. And that means you need to try a bunch of different ways of studying.
Like your learning style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Figure that out, and the only way you'll figure it out is if you just try lots of different things and see what sticks.
Okay, so the thing that I think is good for studying is to make sure your brain really gets what you're supposed to be talking about. And so you have to not be passive, you have to be active. And so what I mean by that is that there's 4 types of language. You read things, you write things, you listen to things, and you speak things. And so my tip for studying is that make sure you're doing all 4 of those while you're studying the material.
The best one that I think I could give you would be, I like to take notes. So when I'm taking notes, I think the thing that's helped me the most is then to summarize my notes later, like put all of the notes in my own words later, and then it sticks in my head a little bit better.
Yeah.
The things that we talked about in the notes, because usually you're just copying down something that someone else has written or put up for you, but if you put it in your own words, then it sinks in. So
Yes. So how many times did you look at your notes throughout the week?
It really depends. I usually would look at them maybe, let's say college, we had classes every other day, so I'd probably look at them every other day. I usually would review them before I went to class. So, you know, we'd go to the library and kind of go through them and summarize them and go into class.
Yeah.
And then right before a test, I used to like to, besides just having my notes and summarizing, I like working with study groups. So like getting together with a bunch of other people from class and actually working and asking each other questions and things, that was always very helpful to me too, to have that dialogue and to have other people's ideas thrown in the mix.
reread, like just over and over and over.
I set time in my schedule. Like I would write out my daily schedule of things that I need to do, classes, and then I would like schedule an actual study time, so I held myself to actually getting stuff done.
How many
Because cramming doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you want to distribute it as much as you can. Like 10 minutes every day for 14 days is better than 140 minutes the night before.
Yep.
So distribute it as much as you can. You'll remember a lot more than just trying to study the night before. Matt?
Taylor?
I think the best thing that I ever did is just identifying the things that I know versus the things I kind of know and the things I don't know. And that helped me so you don't have to cram when you realize you know 70% of the stuff. You don't need to study. You're cutting it down to the 30% you do need to study, and it saves you so much time, and you are able to just get more out of it because it doesn't seem as much of a burden to study 30% of it.
So, how many hours would you say you studied
For what?
A week?
a week?
Day?
A week.
For like an easy test? For like a 20-page paper? Like, what are we talking here?
I guess just like
Just general
Just
work
a-
on
just-
school
In an
stuff?
average week, how much time do we spend studying?
Probably
Yes.
an hour a day. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
but
I mean at least.
I lived it. Like, I was just at
Yeah.
school all the time, doing school,
I was too.
flipping through school, talking to people about school.
I'd say like outside of class time, it was 1 to 2 hours a day, either studying or
Like homework and stuff.
homework,
Writing.
writing papers, researching, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good
At
amount.
least,
For
yeah.
college? Is that what we're asking?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Or high school.
I think in terms of high school, that you don't want to know my answer.
Yeah.
And
high
in
school.
college, I like time just spent studying, very very little. Like I spent my time like doing the work for classes and making sure that I understood it on the front end. And like the only times I really studied were before final exams, just going back over the semester and looking at the things that I didn't know as well. So
Go to
I
class,
tried to cut
pay
as
attention.
much study time
yeah,
out.
go
by
to class.
The
doing it right
fundamentals.
the first time.
Yeah.
You've got to be there to hear it to kind of learn it. But
Yeah.
I mean, hearing it, writing it, rereading it is all very important. So, I mean, just like getting the notes from a friend, I mean, you're going to miss things that are super important. So I would say being present is huge. But then like listening to what because in college, remember, it's a lot of lecture. It's not like,
Yeah.
here's all the notes, let's do a gallery walk.
Yeah,
You're going to
so-
have a guy or a lady stand up there and just talk, and you're going to have to just write.
What you think
So
is important.
listen, write it down, and then reread your notes later.
Really liked it, especially with vocabulary, when I was learning new vocabulary, was 3x5 cards, where I would write it on one side, write the definition on the other, and then I'd use them just as flashcards for myself. Those are the main ones that I use.
Some study techniques I used was to, highlight main things, and then put them on note cards.
Yeah.
Go through them, and try to put them in your own words so that it makes sense to you.
What do you think, Smith?
Any-
I always, once I got better at college and I understood how the whole thing worked, I would treat it like a job, right? So my classes started at like 9, so I tried to get at campus to the library at like 8, stay till 5. So in between all my classes, I would be at the library studying, and then so I do an 8 to 5, 8 to 6 type of thing, and then that was my school day, and then I would go and do whatever it is that college kids do when they're not at school.
Which is usually more studying. I got really into study groups, but a lot of the time that kind of turned into socializing. So I learned to study first by myself, and then I would study with a partner, and then like the day before the test we would study in a group, so I was actually prepared to study and not mess around. And then on my free time, just like Smith did, we studied more.
Study more like in quotes or just
No, there's no quotes.
actually study more.
Constant studying.
So what I've mainly got is study.
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 And read.
And read. They said read.
Be
Read.
reading a lot in college.